Hello and welcome inside McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas, following Arizona State football's 27-24 victory over Baylor. I'm Jacob Brooks alongside Chris Cartman for this edition of the Devil Source Postgame Show, sponsored by Jones Auto Centers. Chris, let's not bury the lead here. Let's get straight to the point. Jesus Gomez, 4 for 4 on the night, ASU's kicker, and then delivers the game-winning field goal. What did you make of his performance, and how much does having a guy like that you can trust to deliver in those big moments elevate this squad?
Jacob, the wordplay kind of writes itself when you have a performance like Jesus Gomez. Thank you, Jesus. Jesus, take the wheel. Whatever you want to go with, that guy showed up in a major way. I sort of hinted at it in the podcast that we did on Thursday.
You did.
I said ASU was going to win by 3. I predicted 30-27, not 27-24. And Gomez having a big night with 3 or more field goals. He had 4 field goals. A little bit clairvoyant there, I don't know. But remember, special teams and kicking game were really bad last year, and that ASU had to overcome that to be able to be a Big 12 champion. And tonight, when ASU's offense struggled for much of the night, as we'll talk about later, Gomez kicks 4 field goals, ice water in his veins on the last one. He said he didn't even watch it go through.
Yes.
It's like a Steph Curry 3 and he just turns around or something like that. Like, because they know, like when the ball comes off the foot, these guys who are really good kickers, they know. Now, we talked all spring camp about how good Jesus Gomez looked. He's made, I think, 9 out of 10 field goals this season, 4 tonight. He's going to be prediction right now, the Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week coming on Monday. I have a vote for that. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
43 or whatever yarder it was to win the game.
Yeah.
And wow, I mean, what a difference it is to have a kicker who can show up in those moments. I don't remember like a walk-off since maybe 2015 when Zane Gonzalez was at Utah. I'm gonna have to go back and double check on that. I haven't researched that as we're here filming this. But yeah, he got mobbed.
He got lifted
up into the air. He's carried off. He's hugging Charlie Regal, ASU special teams coach. And he was so humble about it. He just was like, yeah, it's just another kick for me. And I'm just out there doing my job. Kane Dillingham recounted his story when he talked to the team and said, I just take 3 steps and kick the ball. Yeah. And everybody was like clapping and applauding. But man, what an amazing performance and a special moment for him. Remember, he came to ASU this season, but a few years ago, he kicked for Eastern Michigan.
That's right.
In the final game that Herm Edwards ever coached at ASU. And so almost like a butterfly effect.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that
It
today.
like set all of this other stuff in motion, and now he's kicking for ASU. So that's kind of funny how the world works.
Absolutely, Chris. Well, let's take it back a little bit to earlier in the game. What got ASU to that moment? A guy who was an X factor in getting ASU to that moment was Derek Usabio.
Yeah.
He hadn't really had his number called at all this entire season.
Yeah.
But it's 3rd and long. ASU was back in its own territory on that side of the field. The crowd is roaring. 3 minutes left in the game, and Sam Levitt connects with Derek Usabio for a 53-yard reception for his first catch of the year.
Yep.
That is a big moment for him and for this team. And what did you make of his impact tonight?
Well, look, ASU had been living in these 12 personnel groupings with 2 tight ends on the field, no slot receiver, right? With Jalen Moss out, that's kind of that was their mode of operation. And then that wasn't working that well tonight, at least in certain situations. And so Derek Usabio is the second slot receiver option behind Jalen Moss. And they're like, okay, let's try this. And the dude goes out there and he has a catch. And I tweeted, whenever Usabio is on the field, he makes plays, and he needs to be on the field more. And then they put him back in with 3rd and whatever extra long, 12 or 13, and there was a coverage bust. Dave Aranda, Baylor's coach, said that they were in cover 2, splitting the depth of the field in half, but they had a middle defender who was supposed to carry the Usabio route, and instead it seemed like they went to Jordan Tyson instead, thinking the ball was going to go to Jordan Tyson. Nope, Derek Usabio is right there wide open. Sam Levitt didn't have a great performance overall probably, but he found Usabio at the exact right time. Huge play. And then even after that, right, they started to go to Usabio on these jet sweeps and stuff because Kenny Dillingham said that they trust him in these situations. Why wouldn't they? Jordan Tyson said in the postgame that Usabio has better hands than Jordan Tyson has, and he's one of the best receivers on the team, and those guys are roommates. And so the ability for Usabio, who really had not made any plays other than the long touchdown that he had in garbage time against Arizona to end last season, the regular season, he hadn't really done that much. A former walk-on, and here he is in a big moment. By the way, this is his home state. He lives like an hour and a half away from Waco. Probably had his family and everybody here. So wow, what a moment for him. And it just sort of speaks to just the work ethic, the tenacity, the determination that someone like that has showed to stick with it, even when not playing that much, even when they were a walk-on, to now be able to get this opportunity and make the most of it.
Well, Chris, let's switch over to the defensive side of the ball for ASU, because that defense was flying all over this field tonight. Yeah. ASU won the turnover battle 3-0. Keith Abney had a spectacular interception just down there on that sideline. What did you make of that unit as a whole tonight? Because they really kept ASU in the game.
Well, look, remember ASU led the Big 12 in turnover margin last year. That was one of the major factors in enabling their win. If they don't get at least a 2 or maybe a 3 turnover advantage tonight, they lose the game. Absolutely. Because their offense wasn't good enough, and they weren't able to convert enough of those turnovers into points. But man, not just the fact that they were punching at balls and getting it out. Cameron, the wide receiver from Baylor, had 2 fumbles lost. He's 225-pound wide receiver. You got much smaller DBs draped all over him trying to get the ball out. Kendrick Breedlove, I thought, had kind of a rough start to the game, but then he got the first punch out, and then that kind of springboarded them into a lot of additional success that they had defensively. They played more man coverage early on in this game than I kind of expected to present some different looks to Sawyer Robertson. That proved effective because they didn't get beaten vertically over the top of their corners. And then what happened is by the time Keith Abney's interception, it was almost like there was an expectation they were going to be in man, but then he was in zone. And then they threw the ball, and he's right there to make that pick. Keith Abney's been playing great this whole season at the outset, and other guys did enough defensively. They did have their kind of moments where they 4th down conversions they gave up, and the touchdown after the long run, and then they had the 3rd and 22 that then was before another touchdown, and so there was things that they're going to want back. But against a Sawyer Robertson a type of a passing attack, overhead 1,000 passing yards in the non-conference, really stellar, impressive performance overall by ASU's defense, especially generating those takeaways, and they did a pretty good job against the run, and they had some really big plays by guys in their home state. CJ Fight had a big sack. Jordan Crook played really well, and several others, and so the defense is what enabled Jesus Gomez and Derek Usabio to make the plays that they did at the end.
Absolutely, and Chris, you've alluded to it this entire post-game show. We've got to address the elephant in the room, ASU's offense. Despite getting the win, this offense was not firing on all cylinders, and Sam Leavitt specifically was not firing on all cylinders. Now, Kenny Dillingham in his presser did say that he appreciated that in the biggest moments, his guys rose to the occasion, and that's what he looks for in a football team. But there's a lot of room to improve. What did you make from Sam's performance and the overall offense tonight?
So first, the good news for Leavitt and for ASU, he completed, I think, 69% of his passes. That's a pretty good number, especially on the road. He did not throw any interceptions, right? So that's big. There was one early interception in the end zone behind us here, or opportunity, I should say, for an interception that Baylor missed, where Leavitt threw the ball into zone coverage, and that was a little bit dicey. But then I think what ASU kind of decided was it was going to be a super heavy run game with Raleek Brown, and they were going to try to do the screens to their tight ends. Shama Mateer is involved in the tight ends. Get the ball to Jordan Tyson when you need to move the chains on 3rd downs, some of these opportunities. And they ran Leavitt by design more on some first-level read option plays and some design quarterback runs. I think this is the evolution of what Marcus Arroyo believes that they should be doing offensively. The downside was that Sam Leavitt did not see or did not target open receivers semi-regularly. And Kenny Dillingham was very generous in his post-game comments about Sam Leavitt being positive and how some other guys need to be able to get open against man coverage and whatnot. But I think that when they go back and they watch the film, they're going to see Jordan Tyson is open, Malik McClain was open in some opportunities, Shama Mateer, and other options that they had to throw the ball to, where he just doesn't pull the trigger, or he didn't see it, or maybe he's a hair late. And Sam Leavitt's going to have to play a lot better, in my opinion, while still avoiding the turnovers and using his legs as he was able to do in this game for ASU to be able to repeat as Big 12 champions.
So, Chris, you talk about ASU trying to be able to repeat as Big 12 champions. The first step towards that was starting off 1-0 in conference play tonight here in Waco.
Yeah.
But there is a tall task waiting for them in just 6 days' time at home on a Friday night. TCU is coming into Tempe, and Kenny Dillingham talked about it extensively in his post-game availability. He needs the team to be ready for that because it is going to be a tall task.
Yeah.
How do you think ASU is going to be able to manage that, and where do you see the team going from here?
So I actually think that TCU is a little better than Baylor.
Okay.
Playing at home is an advantage.
Yeah.
One less day to prepare, that's a little tougher. And the offense is in a challenged state right now. I think they're trying to figure it out. Maybe the fact that they got Usabio going is going to help them a lot. They came into this game banged up, right? Xavier Alford's out for several weeks. Boogie Wilson was able to step up and play reasonably well. I thought they didn't have Montana Warren, which forced Kendrick Breedlove to play all the reps pretty much at nickel. They didn't have Jalen Moss. They thought that he was going to be ready, and then late in the week they realized that he wasn't going to be able to play. So playing through some of these injuries and the adversity that they've had, that's an issue. And I think their defense is in a good place for what they've had to deal with some of these injuries. The linebackers are playing well. Defensive linemen are playing pretty well. The corners have been playing really well, especially in this game, I thought. So they're going to have to hang their hat on defense, on trying to possess the ball, not have games turn into a shootout, utilize Sam Levitt's athleticism as much as they can without risking him being injured, and then continue to build out their diversification of what they're trying to do in the passing game. Derek Usabio, maybe they found something with him tonight. They need to get Malik McClain going, keep throwing the ball on the screen to the tight ends and the running backs, and use the jet sweeps, use the quarterback run options. And that's the only way that I think, when coupled with maybe hitting some big play shots where they took some tonight. Jaron Hamilton was basically tackled on one where that could have been a big play touchdown. And Jordan Tyson was open. They didn't get one to him. There was another one I think that was a penalized that Malik McClain was targeted on. So they're not far away, but Sam Levitt needs to kind of relax and read coverages and take what's available to him and take a step forward. I don't know if he's maybe just a little bit too tight, or they're not like on the same page with what they're trying to do within the game plan, but there's definitely some issues there. But yeah, look, ASU is 1-0. Winning is all that matters. You got one on the road in Baylor, and the Big 12 is tough, and you got to go get a second one in TCU. If they're able to do that, then Utah becomes a massive game after Utah got smoked at home today by Texas Tech. So ASU's feeling a lot better, I think, than the Utes are right now.
Absolutely, Chris. Well, that'll do it for this Sun Devil Source post-game show presented by Jones Auto Centers. To keep up with all of our coverage from everything that went down tonight here in Waco, make sure to follow all of our Sun Devil Source socials or check out sundevilsource.com and our Devil Sanctuary board. We hope that you all have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you next Friday for TCU.